So we have a question from a viewer in Minnetrista that wants to talk about gun issues, and this viewer wants to know how the panel feels about supporting bills proposed by Senator Latz, expanding background checks to include private sales with exclusion for direct family members, and the TRO bill based on request by law enforcement or family members to allow temporary removal of firearms. The viewer indicates that these provisions have been enacted in various places elsewhere and wants to know whether the panel supports them. So who wants to take a run at that first? Should we start with you, Representative Plawski?
That's the question that would be dealt with by the majority of both the House and the Senate. And I want to remind the viewer that the House has a 77 Republican majority and a 57 DFL minority. The majority will decide if these are taken up, even if they're taken up in committee or if they're taken up on the House floor. So I would encourage the caller to make sure that the majority party is aware of his or her concerns.
Well, Representative Erdahl, we'll move to you. What do you think?
Well, first of all, obviously this is a big issue that we are concerned about. The school violence, as a former teacher myself, is one who actually is the author of the lockdown legislation in the state. I've long been concerned. It comes down to what can we actually do, given the realities of our dynamics. We can do two things, I think. First of all, we should be focusing in areas of mental health and in school security. Those are two areas that I think we can reach broad support within both caucuses in the House and the Senate. Some of the gun issues are much more controversial, much more difficult to pass, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to be pushing those things that in the end you can't do, even if you want to, at the expense of those things that you can get done. And we can do things in mental health. We can do things with school security. I know that there are various mental health pieces of legislation and bills out there. What I can do as chair of the Capital Investment Committee is to sponsor legislation for $30 million for 5 mental health crisis centers in the state, and also a bill to do training for mental health professionals. And that's a big need. Our jails, our emergency rooms are becoming filled with mental health patients, and that's not what they're supposed to be doing. So let's get some mental health crisis centers out there, and they also serve the outpatient capacity and do serve adolescents as well.
Senator Osmer?
Well, it's from Minnetrista. That's a constituent of mine. So I think, well, first off, you have to compartmentalize that we're going to deal with school safety separate from gun issues. Second, we have a very short session. This is a month. We're at first deadlines tomorrow. So Senator Limmer has not only said we're not going to be doing these types of gun bills, we're also not going to do more conservative gun bills. The Castle Doctrine, that's not on the table. It's not going to be heard. Constitutional concealed carry or constitutional carry, that's also not going to be heard by the Senate. So if you think that we're just picking, the Senate Republicans are just picking on one part of the equation, saying, well, we're favoring one side versus the other, we're not. We're not doing in Minnesota, by Senator Limmer's own discussion, we're not taking them up because we don't have enough time to really work the bills correctly and get the issue dealt with. But more importantly, we're treating each side equally.
So the response to the viewer's question is that Senator Latz's bill is unlikely to be voted on in the Senate this year?
I would say the answer to that is yes, but also all of the other gun bills, including constitutional carry and Castle Doctrine, which I actually favor, also are not going to be coming to the floor. We do not have the time, nor do I think it honestly would be fair to start taking one over the other, because we need to deal with this more globally.
Senator Dibble.
So I'm just listening to this, trying to imagine myself as a young person listening to this conversation. Just a couple of hours before coming here, I was out in Mendota Heights helping send off 70 teenagers to Washington, D.C. for a big march that's going to be occurring. Thousands upon thousands of of high school-aged kids are going to be in D.C. marching on the mall, and quite a few are going to be coming over to the state capitol as well on Saturday. And I think they would express a great deal of dissatisfaction with this conversation because they feel like this phenomenon of tragedies in the schools, they're at the wrong end of those guns, and they're expressing a great deal of dissatisfaction and impatience, and feel like they've been thwarted in their requests repeatedly to have hearings on what are fairly straightforward matters that we've tried to get movement on for a number of years. Universal background checks is a good idea. Getting guns out of the hands of people who are dangerous to themselves or others is a good idea. These are simple matters that have been discussed, researched, vetted. Other ideas are to make sure that we're collecting the kind of data and understanding the phenomenon and nature of gun violence and how to improve gun safety in our state and in our country. So I think we can duck these issues only for so long, but young people are going to settle this matter pretty soon. And so I think we should pay attention and start listening to them because they're building a movement, and the dynamics around this are changing dramatically and quickly.